Hello everyone, my name is Sergei and I am from Ukraine. I know that right now a lot of people are following the news and are trying to stay updated about the situation in my country, and if you are among them, this video will be definitely interesting for you. I want to show to people around the world how it feels and looks when you are inside the situation, and exactly that's why I decided to record this video in English, so many people from different corners of the globe can understand it. So let's begin. I want to start my story from the period of time prior the war. I remember how I met with some friends of mine in Odesa, and we were talking about the possibility of war, and I felt that my friends, it was one good friend of mine from Brazil and his friend from US, they were really concerned about the situation and they really treat the situation seriously, and I couldn't understand them, because in my vision of the world, the situation when one nation invades another was literally impossible, especially considering how we live here in post-Soviet space. The thing is that maybe not everyone knows that people in Ukraine mostly are Russian speaking. That's why for us war between Russia and Ukraine seems literally impossible. It was, according to our opinion, mostly like sick ideas of politics, not the possible reality, but it was very big mistake, and basically that's why most of people weren't ready for the events, and they didn't prepare themselves, and that's why we had such a big amount of casualties. Because unlike people from West who were really concerned about the war, we didn't take the situation seriously, and we didn't evacuate, we didn't, prepare the plan for our actions in critical situation, because we didn't believe in the possibility of such a situation. Yeah, and right before the war, I received a couple of calls from my friends encouraging me to leave the country. They were inviting me to their places, and again I refused them, because I said that it's not possible. I have my plans here in Ukraine and I don't want to leave the country right now, so you should not worry about me and about all of us, because everything is going to be fine. But yeah, it was a very big mistake. I remember the morning in the beginning of the war. It was like the scariest, maybe the scariest day of my life, if not the scariest, maybe the most anxious one. We woke up in the early morning because aunt of my mom called us and told that war has begun, and we couldn't believe it, because again, as I told, we didn't expect anything like this to happen. We turned on TV and we saw news on all channels how Russian helicopters are flying over our cities, throwing bombs, sending missiles, and how huge, just impossible amount of tanks, armored vehicles, and other technique crossing the border between our country and Russia. And it was sort of madness. We couldn't believe that it is really happening, and I remember that for me it was very shocking. I wasn't in the condition when I couldn't control myself, but maybe during like half of hour I was on the like age between panic and normal situation. I remember how I went to the city center just to get some basic supplies for critical situation. And I remember those huge lines of cars trying to get gasoline. It was sort of picture from American apocalypse movie. I saw anything like this only in movies, and it was impossible to believe that it is happening in real life. Another topic I want to cover in this episode is the scariest episode of this war. During these 100 days of the war, a lot of happened, and in my area as well. I just want to mention that I'm living in a relatively safe part of country, only relatively because we don't have physical incursions on our territory, but we have bombings very, very often. So some scary moments happened during this time. And I think the scariest moment and even period of time was during the first weeks of war. Back then, we didn't know real capabilities of Russians. We really were scared that Russia can take all of our country, can occupy all territories, what didn't obviously happen, and which is very, very, very good. But back then, in the early March, we were afraid of this. And I think the scariest moment was when we received information about preparing a landing operation on the coast of Black Sea. I'm living in the city on the Black Sea coast, and it was the direct threat for us. And I remember this panic people felt when we received that news. For that time, we already were under a few attacks from sky. Some Russian planes were entering our skies and bombing some infrastructural objects in our area, and that's why we prepared shelter beneath our house. And I'm living in a very big house with many flats, so there were a lot of people. And I remember that day, it was the scariest day, because a lot of people felt that it is the end. Now they will land, they will take Odesa, they will take other cities, and it will end. But fortunately, according to what we know, Russians were too scared to land on our seacoast, because every square meter is covered by landmines, and for them such operation would be a suicide. So according to what we know here, they just refused to follow orders, and they just refused to land here in our area. And basically it saved us from the same devastations which were in Mariupol, in Kharkov, in other cities. So in some sense we are lucky here. Another scary moment I want to describe was when Russians were bombing the bridge connecting my area to the rest of the country. This is a very important object with railroad on it. That's why Russians wanted to destroy it, and they were trying to bomb this bridge maybe for 5 or even 8 times during this war. And after all those attempts, they didn't achieve any serious success. I don't know, maybe their military engineers are not able to do proper math or something, but this is the real result. But in spite the fact that the bridge situated pretty far away from the city I live, we had some devastations because of it, because explosions were strong enough to break windows in some houses and some flats, even here, like 20 kilometers away from that place. And I think I will remember for the rest of my life days when I woke up because of scariest sound of explosion and the shock wave which was shaking the house I'm living in. So I don't wish anyone to feel something like this. After 100 days of war, the most widespread and strong feeling people here have is the feeling of uncertainty. We don't know if the war is going to end soon or it's going to last for months or even years. And with this feeling we are not able to continue with our regular lives. But at the same time, we have very strong belief that sooner or later we will win this war, we will push all invaders away from our country, we will rebuild our cities and bring even better life to all corners of our country comparing to the time before the war. And if you want to support Ukrainian military, Ukrainian refugees, or in any other form help Ukraine, check the links in the description. And if you like this video and you are interested in topics related to my country, you can follow my channel. You can write your questions in the comment section below, and I will cover the topics you are interested in other episodes. So thank you for watching. See you soon.